Here's a few wide receivers I looked at off the wire this week. The first guy, Noah Brown of the Houston Texans. And Noah Brown, the last few weeks, he's really broken out for this Houston Texan team. And this offense, one of the more dynamic offenses in the league. So the last 2 weeks, Noah Brown's put on monster performances in PPR leagues with 25 or more fantasy points. Week 9 versus Tampa, 6 catches, 153 receiving yards and a touchdown. And Week 10 at Cincinnati, 7 catches, 172 yards, including setting up the game-winning field goal with a big 35-yard catch in that one. So Noah Brown, him and CJ Stroud have a great rapport. They're making big plays down the field. I know Nico Collins didn't play in the Week 10 victory, but even in Week 9, Noah Brown have a big ball game. So Robert Woods, he's kind of penciled out of the offense over there for this Texan team. And this Texan offense, what a great offense it is. And CJ Stroud spreads the football around to all his wide receivers. So right now, while Brown's still out there in tons of fantasy leagues, surprisingly, after the big week last week, still out there in 76% of leagues. And after coming off of 2 monster performances, he's going to be a mainstay in this offense, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and get over 150 yards each week, but he's definitely a wide receiver that can make big plays for this Houston Texan team. And what a great matchup coming up versus the Arizona Cardinals. He's definitely an ad this week. The next wide receiver is Quentin Johnston, the Los Angeles Chargers. So Quentin Johnston, we know we've been waiting for his breakout all season, and now with Joshua Palmer and IR for the next few games at least, even though he's been out the last 2 weeks. Here's Palmer. Johnston, he's been playing decent football. Week 8 versus the Bears, 5 catches, 50 yards. Week 9, at a tough Jet defense, only 2 catches, 14 yards. And Week 10 versus the Lions in a shootout, 4 catches, 34 yards. And he found the end zone. So Week 11, a pretty decent matchup with the Green Bay Packers. This Charger team, their playoff chances are on the line over the next few weeks. And their offense is at its best when Justin Herbert's dropping back there and making the good looks and making the good throws. And we saw a great offensive game just in a shootout loss, 41-38. So Johnson, he was a first-round pick this season in the NFL draft. He's a big play wide receiver in college football. He was, obviously. And he's got that length and that speed as well. So right now, he's getting into the offense a little bit more over the last few weeks, obviously, with Joshua Palmer out. And a good matchup coming up. I think Quentin Johnston could pay good dividends for fantasy owners. And right now, he's out there still in 71% of fantasy leagues and definitely a wide receiver I would give an ad to this week. The next receiver is Jaden Reed, another rookie of the mentioned Green Bay Packers. So Jaden Reed, it looks like he might be passing to Christian Watson in this offense. And it seems like Jordan Love's more comfortable with Jaden Reed. We've seen some bigger games from him early in the season. And the last 3 out of 4 weeks, he's had double-digit fantasy points, is Jaden Reed. Week 8 versus Minnesota, 4 catches, 83 yards. Week 9 versus the Rams, 3 catches, 19 yards, a carry for 21 yards. And Week 10 at Pittsburgh, a nice game, 5 catches, 84 yards and a touchdown. And out of the slot, he's making plays. Him and Jordan Love have a good rapport, and he's got a good matchup here in Week 11 versus the Chargers that give up the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers. We just saw St. Brown go over 150 yards and have a touchdown. He's out there, 79% of fantasy leagues. Like I said, he's been getting more work and making more plays this season here than Christian Watson, and he's definitely a wide receiver to hit off the wire this week. The next wide receiver is Brandon Cooks of the Dallas Cowboys. So Brandon Cooks, he's starting to show things over the last month of the season with 3 out of 4 games as well for him with double-digit fantasy points. Week 8 versus the Rams, 3 catches, 49 yards, a touchdown. Week 9 at the Eagles, it was a dud, 1 catch, 7 yards. And Week 10 versus the Giants, what a ball game, 9 catches, 173 yards and a touchdown. So Dak Prescott is getting everyone involved now in this offense. They're making some big plays over there in Dallas. And Brandon Cooks, he might have been the missing weapon on this offense. I know the first 7-8 weeks of the year, we really didn't see much, but the last few weeks he's starting to kick things into gear is Brandon Cooks, and he could be a solid flex option or a third receiver in 3 receiver leagues. So right now we know he's a 1,000-yard wide receiver is Brandon Cooks. I know this season, unless he goes on some tear, he's not going to hit that 1,000-yard mark where he's only in the mid-300s this year in receiving the football. But right now, this Cowboy offense is getting it going. The last month, Dak Prescott's really gotten things going, and Brandon Cooks is definitely a wide receiver I would look to get off the wire, available in 62% of leagues, and the 5th and final wide receiver I looked at off the waiver wire this week. Here's Demario Douglas of the New England Patriots. So Demario Douglas, he's been a wide receiver I've been mentioning over the last few weeks, and this Patriot team I know is going on bye week, and they really have no weapons on this offense, and Douglas, a speedy wide receiver that can make plays and it has home run ability as well. So the last 2 weeks here for Douglas: Week 9 versus Washington, 5 catches, 55 yards, and Week 10 versus Indianapolis in Germany, 6 catches, 84 yards. So like I said, they're going on bye. I think we might see a quarterback change going to Bailey Zapp as this Patriot team or whoever else over there in Week 12 at the New York Giants. But like I said, Demario Douglas has speed. Last 3 out of 4 games in PPR leagues, he's had double-digit fantasy points. And right now, he's a wide receiver, widely available still in 64% of fantasy leagues. That's a few wide receivers I looked at off the wire here for Week 11 of the fantasy football season.